5, 16, 19, 21, 30, 3 and 10. Check results. You remember?
Right, hey, straight off the bat, I just want to say I don't actually wear hats like this really usually ever. I mean, in the comfort of my own home or space, I do, yes. But this is only also for people who can visually see me. But I don't in public. I just have had a hat on all day. Came home, took it off. My head was tight, or the hat on my head was tight. I suppose my head was normal. My head doesn't fluctuate in. Anyway, so now it's on top of my head. 96. Great year. I feel like 96 is, for whatever reason, if you're talking about you think 96 to me, it just feels like a lot of people born in 96. I think a lot of my favorite actors were born in 96. It just feels like a cool year. Like, to me, out of all of the like best year of the 80s, probably I'm gonna say 88. Best of the 70s. Okay, I'm just doing a thing now, 11 times tables. Best of 70s, I was going to say 77. Or 72, I would feel like. I feel like the best of the 2000s is 2000. I feel like it peaked on the first one. And then best of the 2020s, well, complete opposite. It's not peak on 2020. We all know why. Well, depending on the way you look at it. You know, if you're like if you like that kind of thing, you know, COVID. Then you probably loved it. To be fair, I was indifferent to COVID. It was, if you're looking at it as a neutral, and I'm being careful, I just listened to Dean Hebsher's podcast where he for some reason he's like addicted to talk about how much he loves 9/11 at the moment. I don't know why. Keeps bringing up that he loves 9/11. But I get his logic. It's like, no, obviously it's a tragedy and stuff, but like it's fascinating. And me looking at, even though I was alive when COVID happened, that's right, I was on the planet Earth. I sound like AI now, like I'm trying to convince you, like I'm a lizard person. No, I was here. Me personally, it affected me in sense financially, I guess. Didn't have a job because of it, and then couldn't get one because of it. And then when I did get one, and I had like certain opportunities that I got and then got taken because they no longer was doing them anymore, which was a shame. But I just feel like that's life in general. Like, if it wasn't COVID, it would be something else. You know, you wouldn't get the thing, or you'd lose that there, and you'd lose your job, or you get fired there. It's like, if it wasn't COVID, I probably would have got fired from the job anyway because I'm shit. So from my point of view, I was like, oh, it's a bit interesting. The world's different now. I was getting to see like us as people in like a different type of setting. You know how like you don't know what people are really like until you put them in a scenario where it's like, you know, you think the people you work with are a good person, but then, you know, chuck a bear in the scenario, see what they're really like. You know, it's people shoving people out of the way. You know, give me this, give me that. You said, I remember going to work at like 3. It was a really early shift. This is one of the scenarios. Less dramatic than put them in a war scenario. You know, when the ears are ringing. Less dramatic than that. Rush hour in the morning trying to get to work. I'll tell you right now, you see people's true colours in a scenario like that. Straight up, people, I'll push you into these train tracks. That means I get on there first type scenario. It's like, most of the time, it's going to be packed. There's no point trying to rush onto the train. If you're rushing on, you're not going to get a seat at this point, by the way. All the seats are taken as people already standing in there. So if you're rushing, you're simply rushing because, for what? To stand deeper within the crowd. If you step on last, you're just going to be closer to the door. It's not, if anything, that's a benefit. But it was like, I think it was one of those scenarios where you had to make sure you were getting in because enough people, it was so busy, it was because other trains were delayed that trains might go by, and this particular line, most of them come every 2 minutes if it's the underground, but this line, I think they come every 15, maybe 20 minutes. So it's like it could be the difference between you being late to work or not. And I was trying to get in to Steward. I was doing Chelsea matches at the time. So it was that type of thing where you can't miss a train if you're late. The gates will shut and stuff, and you got to be there, and people got to set shit up, right? I'm seeing people are pushing, people are barging. This guy pushing this elderly woman out of the way, like she was getting edging closer and closer to the tracks, and she, you know, he was like pretending he had earphones in as he was doing it. because she was like audibly complaining, like, stop pushing me, and he was just pretending like, I got earphone. Like, it was the most aggressive shit I've ever seen. I felt like something else wild happened, like he said something rude, because I remember telling the story once I got home and it being like, it so there was being like an ending to that story, but I don't remember what. But I just remember that there was this one guy in particular, like, working his way through the crowd just to get on the train. Like, he didn't care. Anyone could get it. Elderly person, elbow to the face. Disabled, you can have the knee. You know what I mean? And then, went about his business. And I think, I was being fairly normal. I just got on the train like everyone else. And then when I get to work, I'm sitting up in the stands, we're getting briefed or whatever, and I look down and I see him. He's doing the pyrotechnics for the day. So it's like we were both going to the same place. We both got there at the same time. And then I saw him down there setting up the pyrotechnic things, like the fire they do for the game. And I just thought, mate, if you better hope karma's not real, because that's a terrible job for karma to be real if something goes wrong there, man. But yeah, that was a bunch of waffle. I was meant to jump straight into talking about... I didn't even watch it through, but I saw two like movie... kind of like trailer reveals or like first look reveals, and both of these things were kind of trending. First one being Asteroid City, which is Wes Anderson's next film. And whenever I see like Wes Anderson like first look and I see like the imagery and stuff, like it always looks so aesthetically pleasing. Like in terms of photography, I quite like photography that looks like that. And his films are like basically just a bunch of pictures, kind of like every frame a painting, you know what I mean? But then I actually went to watch one, and the first one of his I've only ever seen one, and it was The French Dispatch. And my God, they tell you every frame a painting. They don't tell you how boring every frame being a painting is. Like, oh my God, I hated it. I was like just so bored. It's not that I felt it was bad. Well, I did because I was bored, so I guess I thought it was bad. But I was just sitting in there like, don't really know what is happening. But I want to be fair and say, and since then I've kind of always written off Wes Anderson as like, okay, he's just one of these artsy guys who the film snobs, who the film bros love, and they'll come for it every single time they see it, even though it's pretty much the same shtick, the same ish every single time. They'll spring a leak every single time for it. Like, Wes Anderson, he just never fails, does he? But I just remember sitting there thinking, this is just pretentious bullshit. I guess Wes Anderson's not really for me. But to be fair, that was a bit of a different turn for him. It was like doing 3 stories in one, so maybe that's why I didn't like it. Because Asteroid City, again, like the first look stuff, it does look kind of interesting, so I do kind of want to check it out. And it'll probably be good, generally speaking, in terms of people will like it. It'll probably be well received, probably be Oscar nominated in some respect. At least I think it's got 2 coming out maybe this year, so at least one of them will be. That wouldn't be a good idea. Probably one will come out next year, but he'll probably get cinematography or whatever the shit he usually gets. But the duality between that, and that's not even something I rate, but I know like at least it's of a high quality, even if I don't like it, right? That, and like I feel like we need to talk. Look, I saw my face. I look like I'm about to be sick. We need to talk about Pixar. Oh my God, are they falling off a cliff? The Marvel effect is happening. Are they secretly being overworked and like underpaid or whatever? Because I looked at that Pixar trailer for that Elementals thing, and it looks so shit. And I know these are kids' movies, right? But like I still expect a certain level of quality. And it's not like I get hyped or gassed for like Pixar movies that come out like, oh my God, can't wait to see that one or whatever. It's not. I probably wouldn't even check it out until like however many months later. Like I'd be on Disney Plus one day, I'd see it, I'd be in my room, I'd be like, I'll watch it. The same way I watched Turning Red, which is like, I'm not the demographic for that film. I can still watch it and be like, oh no. And that was not Pixar, right? Is Turning Red Pixar? I think it is. This Elementals thing, firstly, CGI wise, not CGI, what's it called? Animation wise. I'm so used to talking about Marvel, It looks like the character design is ugly, the whole world, like just visually it looks revolting to me. And like, are we not sick of this whole like, Pixar, at one point it was like sort of groundbreaking, revolutionary storytelling. Are we not sick of like, let's give emotions and human characteristics to inanimate objects or things that don't have them, and then create a whole world around it? And it's like, this is how they get to school, and this is how they take the bus, and it's like, a little creative way they do this, and it's like, we've seen it 100 times. toys. They're inanimate objects, but what if they could speak and like, talk and piss and shit? Alright, let's do that. Well, okay, that's pretty cool. Now let's do it with cars. Let's just put faces on, make them talk, and spring oil leaks and shit, and see what it's like. Oh, that's cool. And now here we are, this many years later, we're still doing it. It's like the Emoji Movie. It feels like when they're walking around the little water fire world. It's like elements, and I can't explain it. Well, I can't explain. I just have. I just feel like it's this making pretty much the same movie again and again, but cheaper and cheaper and just more repetitive. And it's like the actual good films they do have, like the Toy Stories, they're rinsing to death, and then the new original stuff they're making doesn't even. It just feels like a reskin, rebrand, redesign of this other shit, but just less good. Because it's just like, oh, you're fire and I'm water, like little fucking. It's just like a Romeo and Juliet story. It's like, we can't be together. We literally, I put you out. You know what I mean? And we're living in this world, and we'll probably meet Earth people and like, water, what's the other one? Water, fire, air, or something. And it is like, I don't know. It just gave me sort of Emoji Movie. It's a similar level to Emoji Movie. And if this was an Illuminations like project and it's coming out, it would get flack and shit, and it'd be like, oh, this is just more bullshit from Illumination Studios. And it's like, Marvel, you're falling into that. I don't know what happened to you. Used to put out bangers like Ratatouille, Rat controls Italian man through hair, and great cooking. Anyone can cook. It was like something so bizarre on paper, perfectly executed. That was your whole thing, Pixar. Great storytelling. And I don't know if they've lost anyone particular, like in their higher ups, if someone's left the company or something, or things have changed, they're under new ownership. But it's just like void of. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of more. I think around Coco, there was like a lot of people liked Coco and stuff. A lot of people liked Soul, even though they sort of copped out at the end when they should have just killed the black guy off, which I know sounds dodgy. In this climate, no, they should have just killed him off, right? Because it's just a better ending. But for some reason they couldn't do that. It's just like, it would have been so much better. You're not gonna have kids watching that crying like, that's too. Why? It's just like so shit that they didn't. But what? I don't know what other films they've had, but I just feel like hopefully this is an anomaly. Elementals is an anomaly, or I'll soon be making a video similarly to how I did with Marvel, about how Marvel have fallen off a cliff with whole Phase 4 and stuff. How they just lost something. And sometimes you just get burnt out. You just can't go on forever. And nothing has to change. It doesn't have to be poor management or poor or does it? Or does it actually? Because you look at some people, some film directors just never miss. Like, you look at people like, and you could say that maybe this is just because it's biased and unfair at Oscar bait, and whether I like their films or not, people like Scorsese and Tarantino, they could probably make a film every 3 years for the rest of their lives, which maybe won't be that long. Scorsese looks ancient, and they'd probably at least get some kind of Oscar nominated in some category for every single film. They would just constantly somehow make a banger. Oh yeah, that's another film. I'm not even I don't think I have no real opinion on Tarantino's films. I haven't even seen that many of them. I think I just find him as a person kind of weird. That's why I say I'm not a Tarantino fan. But he's got a film coming out which is meant to be his last one. And it's kind of like, they're already writing that down. I will write that down to be nominated for director and this and that. It's not even came out. It's not even been a trailer or anything. So, and then you get the argument about if that's just because people are getting in the names and Oscars is just a big everyone wanking each other off fest. And if you're in the club, you're in the club, and then you get your stuff. Yeah, we could. But what I'm saying is, is it fair to say for Pixar, look, they've made a lot. You can't go on forever. Or is that just being too easy to say? Is that too kind? I don't know. I just thought it was weird how literally on Twitter I scrolled and posts one beside each other was Elementals and Wes Anderson, and I just thought, I mean, I don't know why Pixar. I mean, they win Oscars as it is, so it's not like a big deal for them. And I know Marvel. This is the thing with Marvel. There's no point. They tried it. I was gonna say why don't Marvel do this as well, but they already did. Chloe Zhao just gets nominated for Nomadland, brings her in, and then she directs what's kind of thought of as one of the worst films I've ever put out. And it just goes to show that directors don't really direct these films. Like, they try to, and then the overlords tell them that you got to do this and this and this. You got to fill these quotas and make these costumes and this story little thing I mentioned Iron Man here, and it's just like that's why that doesn't work. There's no reason why doesn't Pixar, similar to like Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which I think is just a bunch of bullshit. I didn't watch it, but pretentious, whatever. People crying about. People cry for every fucking thing. But why don't they just get? Why doesn't Pixar go? You know what? Let's make a new Pixar movie, right? Next one we do, get Wes Anderson to direct it. You know, he did alright with Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm not really into stop motion that much, but you know, get him in for an animated thing. Maybe that wouldn't interest him because it's all just on screens and stuff. But just get him into like overseas something, make something a bit fresh, different. Because this, it's not it, chief. It's not it, chief. But yeah, what we at 16-7. That'll do. I got food here. Pizza again. I wasn't lying. I wasn't joking when I said I've literally eaten one every single day, and I will continue to eat one every single day till the day I go back home. I got one here, which is probably getting a bit cold now. It's been sitting there for 16 minutes, so I'm gonna eat that. This is 96, 4 away from 100, and I'll see you in 97.
Here with the kids, and I've got 3 kids, and the geezer was probably on like maximum 20 bags a year. Like the most boring bloke you'll ever meet. Like,